Hi there, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you our media sharing module. This module acts as cloud storage which allow everyone from athletes to account owners and admins easy and fast file sharing. I'm currently logged in as an account owner, and the first thing you may want to do is manage who can access this module. If we enter Team Settings and go into General, you can see at the bottom of the Modules section, we have the Media Sharing module. You can see by default, it's disabled for athletes, but it only takes 2 simple clicks to enable it, and now we've got it enabled for staff and athletes. Now let's look into the module itself. Accessing media sharing is really simple, and it can be done from 2 places, either from here in the Team Navigation toolbar, or from the Teams page here in the Team menu. As you can see, I only have 2 folders so far. You can enter a folder simply by clicking or by going into the Folders drop-down menu and clicking on Open Folder. This folder, Tips for Athletes, is accessible by all of the athletes this account manages on every team. Those athletes are not allowed to create folders or upload files in this folder, but they can view everything in it, like this PDF. You'll also notice that files have their own thumbnails which make it easy to identify what type of file they are. To navigate away from this folder, you can see the path back to the main screen here. The black text is the name of the folder that we're in, and Media is the link back to the main media sharing screen. We've also got another folder in this folder called Tips for First Tigers. This folder is accessible to all of the athletes on the First Tigers team instead of all of the ones this account manages. If we go into this folder, you'll see that not only is there a link back to the media sharing main screen like in the last folder, there's also a link to the folder above this one, the Tips for Athletes folder. This way, you can go as many folders in as you want and always be able to go back to whichever one is the most convenient, like this. Or like this. You've likely also noticed this selector at the top of the screen. This lets you select who you want to see folders from. If you're actually in a folder, you'll see files from everyone, but you'll only see folders from the type of user you've selected above. When viewed from the athlete side, this option doesn't exist and you'll always see all of the folders you have access to. When viewed from the staff side, like we're doing now, you can see folders from everyone, staff only, or athletes only. As you can see right now, I've selected staff only, which is actually the default when you open the media sharing module. If I select to only see athletes folders, you can see that the 2 folders that were there, which were created by staff, are gone, and a folder that was created by an athlete appears. We can also click All and see all 3 folders. The final option we have at the top of the page is this selector that lets you define how you want everything ordered. The default order is alphabetical, but you can also select reverse alphabetical, old to new, or new to old. I'm going to select reverse alphabetical, and as you can see, the order of our folders has changed accordingly. When you select a sort method or filter whose folders you can see from, these options are saved until the next time you leave the media sharing module and re-enter it. So if I go into another folder, you can see I'm still seeing folders from all, and I'm still sorted in reverse alphabetical order. Now that we've covered how to navigate the module, let's get into how to create and edit files and folders. Let's go back to the main screen, and you'll see at the bottom there's a green Add Folder button. You may have noticed sometimes there's a yellow Add File button. The reason that isn't showing right now is that you can only add files within a folder. If we enter a folder, you'll see the Add File button is back. But if we go back to the main screen, I only have an option to create folders and not files. Let's create a folder. I'm going to name this First Tigers after the names of one of the teams I manage. and I'm only going to share it with that team instead of all the teams, which are what's selected by default. You can select whatever combination of teams you like by clicking and dragging on the list, holding the Control key and clicking individual options, or by holding the Shift key and clicking two options to select all of the ones in between the two. This works just like any other select screen in the app, but like I said, I only want First Tiger. The next step is to choose what types of users from this team are allowed to view the folder. Admin and owner accounts can see any folder associated with a team they are also associated with, so they're not shown on the list here. You simply select what user types you want to be allowed to view this folder. Managing it this way, instead of by individual user, lets you create folders specifically for example, medical users. If you create a folder for medical users, by selecting medical and clicking create folder, only medical users will be allowed to see it. If you add a new medical user to your team, they will automatically be allowed as well. To edit this folder, just click the menu icon on the right of the folder and click Edit. Now I want to talk more about how user types work with folders. Like I mentioned, you can explicitly set certain user types to view folders, like medical users, by selecting them here. Allowing a set of users to access a folder automatically gives them permission to both view the folder and edit the folder, as well as add files and folders within it. They will not, however, be able to delete the folder or any files within it that they did not create. There are two exceptions to how this works, however. Athletes can be given view access only. When you select them in the user types list, you'll see an extra option pop up right here to allow them to upload files. If you select yes, athletes will be able to upload files and add folders, but will still only be able to edit or delete things they create. If you select no, athletes will be able to view the files within the folder, but not edit, delete, or create any content within it. The other exception is users which are above your account in authority. As I mentioned, admins and owners are left off of this list because they can see all files and folders created by any user that's associated with one of their teams. They can also edit or delete any of that content. This list only shows user types that are at the same level as your account or below. For example, if I was logged in as a medical user, I would only see medical users and athletes. This is because any users who are above you in authority can see, edit, and delete your files and folders. Basically, if a user type is not shown on this list, they will have full access to all of the files and folders you create. If they are shown in the list, it's up to you. This may be hard to wrap your head around, so I'll demonstrate it now. I'm going to log out and log back in as a medical user. Now if we add a folder, you'll see only coaches, medical users, and athletes. This is because coaches and medical users are at the same level as the account I'm using right now, which is a medical user, and athletes are below them. So all of these are people we can optionally give access to, but if we don't give them access, they won't be able to see our files and folders. Admins, owners, and managers, however, are left off of the list because they're above medical users in authority, and they will have full access to any content this user creates. Now let's edit the First Tigers folder that I created using an owner account. You'll see that because this folder belongs to an owner, the manager option is still there, even though it wasn't there a moment ago when we were creating a folder. This is because when you're editing a folder, you see the options that the folder's original creator saw, not the options you would normally have. Now let's create a folder and not give anyone else permission to it. Now that the folder's been created, I'm going to log out and back in as an owner so I can demonstrate what I was just talking about permissions from the other side. Now let's edit that medical folder we just created. As you can see, the manager option is shown but is grayed out. This is because an owner account would usually have a manager option, but because this folder was created by a medical user and we're editing it the same way they would, manager is not an option. Only the options a medical user actually has are selectable options. One more thing I want to mention about folders is that if you're given access to a folder that's within another folder, but you don't have access to the folder it's within, that folder, instead of showing within the other folder on your account, will just show on your main screen. Let's demonstrate this. The Tips for Athletes folder is only set to viewable by athletes. I'm going to go inside that folder and create a new folder for medical users. On my owner account, because I have access to both the Tips for Athletes folder and the Tips for Athletes medical folder that's within it, this folder shows within the Tips for Athletes folder, like how I created it. But if I log out and back in as a medical user, you'll see that Tips for Athletes Medical just shows on my main screen. That's because I didn't give medical users permission for the top level Tips for Athletes folder, so they still have permissions to view this, it just doesn't show up within the folder that they don't have access to. Now I'm going to switch back to my owner account again. Deleting a file or folder is only allowed by either the user who created it or someone who's above them in authority. Even if you give other users access to this folder, they'll be able to edit it but not delete it. To delete a folder, simply click the menu on that folder and click the delete option. This pop-up will ask you to confirm that you want to delete the folder. If you click the check mark, it will be deleted and you can see our folder is in fact gone. If the delete option does not appear in the menu, it's because you don't have delete permissions for that folder. I also want to note that you can only delete empty folders. If you try to delete a folder that has files or folders within it, you'll just get this error message. Now that we've talked a lot about folders, let's talk about files. I'm going to go into my First Tigers folder. Having folders separated by team and then creating more folders inside of those can be a great way to manage different sections of your team and your staff. You can have a folder for medical users, another one for athletes, or any other combination you can think of. In the First Tigers folder, I'm going to create a folder which everyone can upload and edit files. I'm going to call this folder Team Photos. Just like before, I only want First Tigers to have access to this folder and select every user type, including athletes, and give them the ability to upload and click Create. You can create as many folders as you want. So to keep things organized, I'm going to go into the Team Photos folder and create a new folder so that I can separate by events. And this is another folder that we want to give everyone permission to, but only on the First Tigers team. Now that the folder is created, there are two ways to add files to it. If you're in the folder above it, you can create files in it by clicking on the folders menu and clicking Add File. This menu lets you create a title and comments to go with your file, which are optional, and upload your file. Once you're ready, click Select File, choose the file you want, and click Submit. You'll be taken inside the folder with the new file highlighted. You can also upload files from within the folder by simply clicking the Add File button. I'm going to add some more files and skip ahead so you don't have to watch. As you can see, I've uploaded a total of 6 photos into this folder. Along the left, you'll see thumbnails for these files. This is actually a preview of the image itself, which can really help you quickly find the image you're looking for. These thumbnails are scaled down versions of the image, which are loaded after the page loads to keep everything quick and conserve bandwidth, even on slow internet connections. To view the file, you can go to the Files Options menu and click View, or you can simply double-click it. Here we can see our image, along with the title and comments we added. We can also see who shared it and when they shared it. Because this is an image, we can see the image itself. If this file were a PDF or an Excel document, for example, we would just see the title and comments. There are also 3 options along the top, or less than 3 if you don't have edit or delete permissions. These 3 options are the exact same ones that are in the Files menu. They are Download, Edit, and Delete. Downloading the file will save it to your device where you can keep it offline. If you edit the file, it brings the form back up so that you can change the title and comments. Just hit Submit to save your changes. Finally, you can delete, which comes up with a pop-up just like before where you can confirm. And now we can see our file has been deleted. Another really useful feature with files is that you can select and download multiple files at one time. This works very similarly to the Team Select from creating and editing folders. If you click on a file, it will be selected. Once it's selected, you can click it again to preview it, like we did before, or click the blue download button at the bottom of the page to download it, like we did before in the Files Options menu. There are several ways to select multiple files. If you press the Control key and the A key on the keyboard at the same time, you can select all files. To deselect all files, click on the blank area. To select multiple files individually, hold the Control key and click each file you want to select. You can also deselect individual files by continuing to hold Control and clicking one of the already selected files. If you want to select many files in a row, hold the Shift key and click the first file you want and the last file you want. Those 2 files and all the ones in between them will be selected. If it turns out you don't want one of your files, you can hold the Control key and click to deselect one or more of them. Once you've got all the files you want selected, click Download Files. You'll receive a zip file that can be opened by any computer with all of your files inside. We only selected 2, so there's only 2 here. Really, the only thing left to show you is how to access the media sharing module from the Athlete version of the app. To do this, simply log in as an athlete. And go to our document repository by clicking this tab right here. As you can see, the one folder that this athlete has created and all the staff folders this athlete has access to are displayed right here. If we go into our Team Photos folder, we can see the one event folder we created and all the files within it. You can select and download multiple files just like you could on the staff version of the app. And that is the media sharing module. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us at support@athletemonitoring.com, where, as always, we'll be happy to help.